I think it's time to move to basketball, and you're not the only one that can do a costume change, my friend. I was ready for this. Let's go. All right, let's talk Warriors. Unfortunately, they did get eliminated. Steph Curry couldn't play. They lose game 4 versus Minnesota on that last Monday by 7. Minnesota went plus 22 in the third quarter. They ended up leading by 20 going into the fourth. The Warriors couldn't dig their way out of that hole after that. Their best shot with winning without Steph was game 3, it turns out. And they ended up not getting the job done. They couldn't extend it to game 6. It sounded like Steph was going to be able to go for game 6. Like he was on his way. They just needed to come up with a W at some point, and they couldn't quite get it done because they lose game 5 as well by 11 on Wednesday. And there's your season. The Warriors are expected to place a $10.2 million qualifying offer on Kuminga. There's a possibility that they keep him, but also is going to explore the sign and trade options. So,
is he a restricted free agent?
Jimmy Butler just kind of, it looks like Jimmy Butler, when he took that fall, he just wasn't the same after that as well. He was tough.
Yeah, I know there's a tough guy. With Jimmy Butler, like, I get it. You like, part of me agrees where like you needed to just get one game without Steph Curry. You just needed the one, but I really believe the tailbone was not right. That's where I'm at with it. Like, the Warriors got one without Jimmy Butler. They got a couple without Jimmy Butler, and we couldn't get one without Curry. That hurts, especially the playoff Jimmy thing never really showed up, but I do believe his tailbone was something in there was bothering him, unfortunately.
I hope the NBA looks at this year and goes, you know what? Maybe it wasn't a wise idea to do a game every other day, and go back. I mean, look at Dame went out, Tatum went out, Curry went out, Aaron Gordon went out. I mean, not to say that Butler was out, but could he have done with an extra, 4 days of rest in between games? Yeah, sure. Maybe would have got a better product on the court instead of getting 30-point blowout games. I'm not saying because my team's old, it is old, but yes, would we benefit the rest? Sure. But everybody else, I mean, who's to say, the rest wouldn't have helped them out avoiding that injury, So
yeah.
Greedy owners, man. Greedy owners, and the commissioner has nothing to do but to appease the ownership. So it is what it is.
So I guess just around the NBA to kind of wrap up the playoff talk. OKC ended up beating Denver in 7 games. Denver put on a hell of a show, but that game 7 was just a dog walk, man. Like there was nothing left in the tank at that point, and they're off to Cancun. Before the playoffs started, everybody kind of in the East had Cleveland and Boston penciled in as your Eastern Conference Finals. They're not going to meet up there. They're meeting up in Cancun instead because the Knicks and Indiana, they get the job done. 4-1 for Indiana and 4-2 because of the Tatum injury as well for the Knicks over Boston. Yeah. So that's your Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and in the West, Minnesota and OKC, they are going to face up. These games start on Tuesday is the Western Conference, and then Wednesday is when the Eastern Conference happens. And basically, they're going to go pretty much every other night, at least to start the series. So that's what we have to look forward to for the. It's going to be OKC, Minnesota, New York Knicks, or Indiana. And I think just for fan base size, I think the NBA is kind of secretly hoping that the Knicks make it to the finals because
they're fans.
Indiana's a great, like honestly, a perfect world I think is the Knicks get to the finals and lose, because then like you get the fans going crazy as well. But like
look, I get Knicks fans being how they are when you've seen such mediocrity for decades at this point now. Mm-hmm. But man, they are just they're on another level. I know New York is a special city in its own right, and it's supposed to be gritty and all this stuff, but there's a borderline of being gritty and being abusive, and being abusive to other teams' fans is kind of crazy. Like they threw trash cans and mobbed at this Pacers fan, which, by the way, Tyrese Halliburton brought him on to forget his name, his show, Pat McAfee show, and invited the fan. Is going to fly him, his family, out to Indiana to watch the Knicks Indiana game, all paid for. So, stick taps, whatever you want to say. Congratulations on that. But come on, Knicks fans. I know you guys haven't seen one in a while, but I mean, be a little bit more respectful. Don't beat up the other fan base. I've been seeing
Yeah.
videos of them punching.
Says the Eagles fan.
Hey, you know what? I'm the nicest Eagles fan you'll ever meet. I'll tell you that.
You are.
Yeah.
Maybe you are.
I agree. But I'm just
There's a
saying,
history. All we're saying is there's a history.
Shout out Santa Claus.
Santa had it coming.
Santa had it coming.
Going full Chicago. He had it coming.
I want to come back to this Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga thing.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's dive in a little deeper here.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys been kind of going through the exit interviews and seen Draymond's podcast response about Kuminga and this and that, but Kuminga was with Joe Lacob at the Valkyries game, sitting courtside together. What do you think is going to happen with Kuminga? What's your crystal ball telling you guys?
Oh, my crystal ball is that they're going to do the qualifying offer, right? Because they should, and they don't have a lot of money.
Why not?
Some a-hole team who has a lot of money to spend is going to try and sign him and outprice the Warriors. And the Warriors are going to either have to concede or pay the man. And I think it's not going to be a great day if we have to pay this man more than we think his possible value is. But again, he's 21, 22 years old.
Yep, 22.
The potential is super untapped. I know it doesn't look promising, but again, he was 19 when he joined the league. He had zero basketball experience compared to some of these other 19-year-old kids that you're seeing. Like the Thompson twins, Asor and his brother, they look great, but they've been playing basketball since they were kids. Kuminga got into it when he was in high school,
Right.
At the very tail end of it, and sort of picked it up. And it wasn't really college, he just kind of went here.
Went to the G League for only a year, right?
Exactly.
I honestly here's a team that I kind of have just looking at the standings, looking at a team that was near the bottom but could make a quick jump up if they if things fall right for them. The 76ers. I think that's a team to look out for. That like that's the kind of team you talk about, some jerk team coming in and overpaying. That's a possibility. There's a non-0% chance that it's the 76ers that come in and ruin it for the Warriors.
I just think the 76ers roster, I mean, they just paid Embiid, what I mean? They're going to pay Tyrese Maxey. They're going to pay Jared McCain. I know McCain had a rough rookie season, got injured at the end there. They're going to pay Quentin Grimes. They already paid Paul George. So I don't know how much room that they have to kind of do that D move of screwing over the Warriors, but certainly something to think of. I mean, a sign and trade, if they
that's kind of where it would go. Like it almost would have to be a sign and trade, but I think that's my prediction, is a sign and trade with somebody. Yeah. That's my prediction, is Kuminga is not on the Warriors next season because of a sign and trade.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree with you guys for the most part. I definitely agree with I just don't think it makes sense to keep him and then have this veteran team, because you're going to pay Steph, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, and then you're paying Kuminga, and then how are you, there's some expiring contracts on the Warriors. How are you adding a center? So I think the sign and trade is going to try to address, who's going to be, is Trace Jackson Davis going to be the starting center next year? He had some flash moments, but is he, if the Warriors believe that, then there's your starting center. But I don't know if they believe that right now, that they're going to win a championship with Looney and Trace Jackson Davis as your starting, and Quentin Post, throw that in there. I don't think they believe that you're going to win with that.
Unfortunately, I
But
think you just, I mean, we've been saying this the last couple of years. It's not like they fall off a tree, but to compete in this NBA, the makeup's changed, man. Like the Warriors did run a small ball, yes, but how did the league and teams counteract that? They got versatile bigs, you know. Look at your Jokic, you know. Look at your Giannis is definitely one of those guys too that's slowly developing a 3-point shot. But all these big guys are developing an outside range shot that, it used to be small ball, run the big guy out of the gym. And while I love TJD and he's a threat in inside the paint, it's kind of the makeup. Teams just run him out of the building because he can't keep up with the center who's switching out or can't keep up with the small guards. But Kerr did say next year, Draymond will not be the starting center to start next season. So I don't know what that means as far, as our GM to get that done, but I got one name circled. I know it's counterintuitive to what I just said, but I got another guy in the draft pick that I'm looking at that maybe might fall to us. But again, I'm looking at Steven Adams. If you let Looney go, if you're going to move on from that, if you think Post is going to be your future, maybe run a two big system, kind of how the Rockets did with Post being a stretch big and Adams being in there to enforce, maybe you get a new Bogut 2.0. There's this Chinese 7'3" kid in the draft that it looks to be pretty polished as far as, a mini Jokic type of deal. Maybe you look at that in the draft and you move up. So I think this is all going to shake out with Kuminga after the draft. I think in reality, we don't know the makeup of what it's going to look like for him until that draft day happens. He may not be on the team following after the draft day.
Right on.
Giannis, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, make that trade for Giannis. Yeah, I mean,
Giannis.
I know that if he like if you were to give him like choice of pick 6 teams or whatever, like and to try to make a trade happen. I know that the Warriors are on that list of 6 teams.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And then there's like this ongoing
it.
bromance between Giannis and Curry. Like I don't know if
Mhm.
there's been a history of ongoing bromance between these two for years.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, or do we want to move
I just
on
got.
to the Val? Oh, you go.
I
go
think
ahead.
a name to keep an eye on for the Warriors will be Cam Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets.
I agree. If
He's a little older,
Yeah.
and they want to get younger. So if you somehow get Kuminga to the Brooklyn Nets, because it looks like they're going to start resetting this, and you want a bunch of young guys. And I think with Kuminga, he's young enough to kind of see if you're going to build around them, get some draft picks, spend some draft picks, surround them with talent, build a young team, let them age up, kind of like what OKC did. And then for the Warriors, Cam Johnson is, I believe he's like 28 or something like that, 28, 29. So he's a veteran. He's not a super young guy. So I think as a veteran, he can fit in. And then the veteran team that is the Warriors can learn how to play with him. So I think that's a name to watch.
Fair enough. All right. So let's switch gears to the Valkyries. Let's go. The hat came in just in time for the opening game. Yep. I knew it was going to happen. The shirt was a little bit more delayed. The shirt just arrived today, so I'll have that for after I run it through the laundry, because I don't want to put a shirt on that I just got delivered. Anyway, so they had their season opener on Friday. It was a sellout crowd, over 18,000, and they were hosting the LA Sparks. They end up losing, going away. The fourth quarter was just all LA Sparks, and Kelsey Plum went nuclear in her debut for LA. She had 37 points, six assists, 5 steals, and she played every damn second of that game too, all 40 minutes. So she's making a mark on the team early, and she was just everywhere, and there was no answer for Kelsey Plum. The war on the Valkyries side, Julie Van Loo came off the bench and hit 3 consecutive threes near the end of the third quarter, including the first true heat check in Valkyries history. That third one, completely off balance and just kind of a screw it, let's just see if this will work. Oh crap, it did. She had actually her most impressive shot was actually in the second quarter. It was like off of an out of bounds play, and it was just throw up a prayer, and because the shot clock was running down, and she had her foot like just inside the line, so it was a 2. She finished with 14 points, but that the 1-2 that she made was probably the most impressive shot because it was just absolutely like out of nowhere, unexpected. Tiffany Hayes, who was the last season's sixth woman of the year, she had 19 points and 9 rebounds for the Valkyries as well. Um, they kept it close right up until the fourth quarter. That's when the Sparks just kind of started pulling away. What I saw was a team that was kind of new to each other, didn't really know, like they weren't able to feel each other out, I guess, for whatever reason. I saw a lot of turnovers. But I also saw they were getting a lot of rebounds though too. They were
God, are the
I actually
Warriors
have the
playing?
stats. The Valkyries they were they had +7 on rebounds in total. They were +6 in offensive rebounds. And then if you just look off of points in let's see points off of turnovers, the Sparks were +10. So 25-15 on that one. So they turned over 20 versus the 11 for the Sparks. So like they were -9 in turnovers, and that was worth -10 points off of turnovers. So like honestly, there's your game. Like if you're only down 7 instead of 17 heading toward the final 4 minutes or so, all of a sudden that's a lot closer game. So like I see potential. I also see that this is a team that's still trying to like figure it out and learn each other a bit, and they're jacking up a lot of threes. I'll say that. They threw up 35 threes compared to 19 for the Sparks. So like they're gonna try to make it rain is what's gonna happen. That they need to shoot a lot better percentage on those threes though.
They're
If
like
they're
Joe
gonna win.
Lacob. They like the 3 ball, so you guys just check it.
Yeah. I mean,
Joe's like, I want you to have a lot of turnovers, but be really good at rebounding.
yep. Yeah.
Exactly what
They
we
need
do
to.
at center.
The one thing they need to do, they need to bump the assists up a bit. They only had 13 in this game, opposed to 19 for the Sparks. So ideally, I'd like to see them even or better on assists to be a true Golden State team. High assists. Jack up a lot of threes, right? They also just yeah. So it was just from what I saw, they just had a bad shooting night. I think everybody was just a little too amped up. The adrenaline was pumping a little too much for the home opener, the team's first ever game, right? They actually even once Tiffany Hayes made the first bucket, I believe it was Tiffany Hayes. They took the ball off and they're sending it to the Basketball Hall of Fame because this is the first expansion team since 2008. So that first bucket is it's kind of like a hey, look, expansion is happening again, and this is the mark of a new direction for the W. So hopefully they can get it together. Their upcoming schedule, they have on Wednesday, they're playing the Washington Mystics, and they get to play at LA on Friday. Both of those games are 7 p.m. So yeah. Positive things, but overall, just they need to take better shots, I think, and hit those better shots. These are the things we've seen from the men's side of Golden State. I'm not entirely surprised it's come that way on the women's side as well.